Good morning. So we've discussed Kadesh, the mitzvah of Kiddush on the night of Pesach and the first cup of wine. Now we move on to the next part of the Seder, which is Urchatz, which literally means and wash your hands. And here we wash our hands, and we wash our hands without a blessing. We need to understand why we are washing our hands, why it's without a blessing, what's the reason for all of this. So in order to understand this, we have to step back and understand the rules of purity and impurity. Liquids, 7 liquids specifically, but predominantly water, have the ability to transfer impurities. And so in temple times, just like we have the mitzvah that when we have bread, we wash our hands, and this has got to do with purity and impurity. Similarly, when a person would have something dipped in liquid, because liquid has the ability to transfer impurity, one would need to wash their hands. And everyone agrees that in temple times when a person dipped foods, vegetables into liquids, they would need to wash their hands. The question is nowadays, is this still relevant? The majority of the Rishonim, that's the Rambam, Rashi, and others, understand that nowadays it's exactly the same as washing hands for bread. Just like when we have bread, we wash our hands for reasons of purity and impurity. Similarly, when a person dips vegetables into liquids, he similarly needs to wash his hands. And one recites a blessing, Al Netilat Yadayim, just like we do so over bread. And as I said, this is the opinion of the majority of the Rishonim. Tosfot understood, however, that this was only relevant in temple times. Nowadays, this is no longer relevant. And so it's not necessary during the year to wash hands when eating some vegetables dipped in liquids. Now, the Shulchan Aruch rules that, like the majority of the opinions, that one does need to wash their hands before dipping vegetables into liquids. However, because there is an opinion which holds that you don't need to do so, he says you should do so, but you do it without a blessing. And so although when we wash for bread, we say a blessing, Al Netilat Yadayim, however, during the course of the year, when a person dips vegetables into liquids, then he does need to wash his hands, but he does not need to recite a blessing. In fact, he shouldn't recite a blessing due to the opinion of Tosfot that a person doesn't need to wash their hands. Now, the Rama writes that the custom is to be many are lenient with this, he writes, because they rely on the opinion of Tosfot, and many are lenient not to wash their hands at all. Nonetheless, and this is why many, during the course of the year, although they wash their hands when having bread and say a beracha, when dipping vegetables into liquids, they don't do so and don't wash their hands and don't recite a blessing. However, on Pesach night, we do so. And in fact, from this, many of the poskim understand that this is indeed the correct practice that we should do the entire year round. And there's nothing unique about the washing of the hands tonight. It's just the regular halakha that when a person dips vegetables into liquids, he washes his hands, and it's just standard practice. And that's the way the Sfaradim understand that the mitzvah of Urchatz, of washing the hands on the night of Pesach, is nothing unique to Pesach night. It's just standard practice the whole year round. And it's nothing to do with arousing the curiosity and inquisitiveness of the children that we wash our hands without a blessing. It's just the halakha that when you dip your vegetables into liquids, you need to wash your hands. But we don't say a blessing because of the opinions which hold you don't need to wash hands. However, some of the Ashkenazi poskim understood that really during the year we're lenient, we don't need to be concerned about this. And the reason we do it on Pesach night is either because of Pesach night is unique, we do many things which remind us of temple times, like the eating of the afikomin and the other things which we do, like the egg, etc., which remind us of the sacrifices in the temple times. And so we wash our hands as well on Pesach night. Although we don't do it during the rest of the year, we wash our hands in order to remember the temple times, or because of the idea that, we do something different on Pesach night to arouse curiosity, etc. So this is really two different ways to understand what the function of Urchatz, what the washing is on the Pesach night. For the Sfaradim, it's just a regular halakha, which is relevant throughout the year, that whenever you dip vegetables into liquids, you need to wash your hands. And we don't say a blessing because that's the standard halachic practice throughout the year. Whereas for the Ashkenazim, it's more unique to Pesach night. It's not standard practice during the rest of the year, and it's unique to Pesach because of the uniqueness of the Seder night and all the things which we do to remember the things in the Bet HaMikdash. I'll just end off with the Haidah says Kadesh. This is the only one of the 15 things which we do on the Seder night which has a Vav before. Why is it Kadesh Urchatz? Should be just Kadesh Rechatz. Why Kadesh, do Kiddush, Urchatz and wash? The Haidah says from this actually Urchatz and wash because you're meant to be washing the whole year round. There's nothing unique about this. This is what we do the entire year round. And so it's Kadesh Urchatz. The Vav, the and, is symbolizing the idea that this is not just tonight, it's constant, it's throughout the year. And so in any case, we do wash our hands on Pesach night. Everyone does that, and everyone washes without a blessing. As to why we're doing it, we have different understandings. Either it's because it's a standard halachic practice, or because it's unique for Pesach night. Now, as to why we are dipping into, we've established that once we're dipping a vegetable into liquid, we need to wash. But why are we having a vegetable at all? Why are we having karpas? That will be discussed, B'ezras Hashem, tomorrow. Have a great day.